Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you another special video, a touching story about Lythieuca and Officer Hung. As many of you know, the countryside where they live has just endured a devastating flood. The water rose high, sweeping away homes and leaving many families with nothing. Yet, amid the destruction, Lythieuca and Hung never gave up. Together with their neighbors, they fought against the raging waters, rescued those in danger, and helped rebuild the shattered houses. Even though the rain hasn't stopped and the ground is still muddy, the fire of compassion and faith continues to burn brightly in their hearts, the belief that with unity and love, we can overcome anything. Join me as we follow their journey today, and let's all send our prayers to Lythieuca, Hung, and everyone standing strong in the heart of the storm. Don't forget to leave a heart or a few words of encouragement to give them strength. After many days of relentless rain and wind, the sky above the countryside finally began to reveal its first rays of sunlight. The pale golden light pierced through layers of heavy gray clouds, shining down on rooftops still smeared with mud, glimmering like tiny mirrors, as if whispering to humanity, after every storm, peace will always return. The morning air felt unusually fresh. The scent of damp earth, straw, and the first smoke from a rekindled kitchen fire after the storm blended together, evoking the familiar calm of the once peaceful village. The river in front of the hamlet no longer roared. The water slowly receded, revealing patches of muddy ground, toppled grass, and fallen banana trunks. A few stray pieces of straw and wood drifted lazily along the surface, silent witnesses to the storm that had just passed. From every corner of the village, human voices began to rise again. The sound of shovels and hoes mixed with friendly calls echoing across the lanes. Old neighbor Ba, carrying a sheet of metal on his shoulder, walked by laughing. Helping each other in hard times, that's what neighbors are for. Come on, folks, we'll make it. Across the road, a few children, still covered in mud, ran happily behind the adults, their smiles bright despite everything. Lythieuca stood in front of her small wooden house. Part of the wall had been swept away by the flood. She rolled up her pant legs and carried out buckets of mud, humming softly as she worked. Her face was pale and tired from sleepless nights, yet her eyes still shone with determination and faith. Meanwhile, Officer Hung, the young policeman of the village, was helping a group of youths rebuild temporary shelters for the families most affected. Sweat streamed down his sunburnt face, his shirt soaked through, but his smile still glowed beneath the morning sun. Mother Ha brought out a water jug and a basket of cakes, calling loudly. "Take a break, children. Have a drink, regain your strength." Her gentle smile, though weary from sleepless nights worrying for the villagers, carried warmth and hope. In her clouded eyes gleamed quiet joy, for at last, they had all survived the storm. Life slowly returned. The rhythmic hammering, the cheerful voices, and children's laughter echoed across the hamlet. Chickens pecked at the ground again, buffaloes wandered lazily into the fields, the mud still thick and soft, yet filled with the breath of renewal. As evening fell, the last rays of sunlight spread across the freshly plowed fields. Lythieuca and Hung sat resting by the fence, gazing at the calm river. The wind carried the scent of young rice sprouting after the flood. Lythieuca spoke softly, her voice trembling. "I thought I wouldn't have the strength to stand up again." Hung placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, his smile as gentle as the breeze. "You're not alone. I'm here, and so is everyone else. We'll rebuild everything, from the beginning." Above them, the last clouds melted away, leaving behind a clear blue sky. Thin trails of kitchen smoke rose from the small houses, blending with the golden hues of sunset, painting a scene of quiet beauty and warmth. The flood may have swept away houses and crops, but it could never wash away human kindness. In every gaze, every smile, they're still shown a steadfast belief that no matter how fierce nature may be, as long as compassion remains, the homeland will rise again. Hoai and Hung rolled up their sleeves, mud clinging to their legs, shirts drenched in sweat, yet no one stopped working. Together with the villagers, they shoveled piles of mud, salvaged every brick still intact, and began rebuilding the shattered frames of homes destroyed by the raging flood. The sound of shovels striking the ground, hammers pounding on wooden beams echoed through the air, like a symphony of resilience and humanity rising from the ruins. Half of Hoai's old house had collapsed. The tin roof was torn apart, the earthen walls cracked and peeling. But instead of crying, she quietly bent down, picked up broken planks one by one, wiped off the mud, and stacked them neatly aside. Every gesture radiated the quiet strength of a woman who had endured countless losses yet still stood firm. Neighbors gathered from all directions. Some brought bundles of bamboo, others carried sheets of tin that could still be used, some offered a few nails, a bucket of paint, or a handful of bricks. No one had much, but everyone gave what they could, through labor, through kindness, through silent acts of sharing. An elderly man pushed a cart of sand over, smiling. "When a house falls, we'll rebuild it together. The flood doesn't choose whose home to take, does it, child?" Hung nodded, his gaze steady yet gentle. He paused, looking around, villagers covered in mud, faces tired but smiling. His eyes lingered on Hoai, who was tying bamboo poles for a window frame. Her voice floated softly in the breeze. "The storm may wash away our homes, but it can't wash away the goodness in people's hearts, can it?" Hung looked up and smiled warmly, his voice calm but resolute. "No. When everyone lends a hand, that alone is enough to create a miracle." Those words seemed to touch everyone's heart. For a moment, silence fell, then tools clanged again, hands moved faster, stronger than before. By the yard, Hoai's foster mother lit a fire under a large pot, smoke curling into the air. The smell of freshly cooked rice porridge mixed with ginger and fried shallots filled the village with warmth. Stirring the pot, she called out, "Come take a break, everyone. Have a bowl of hot porridge, you'll need strength to keep going." Hoai smiled, wiped the sweat from her forehead, and brought out bowls, serving each person in turn. The porridge was simple, but inside it was gratitude and love. Calloused, mud-streaked hands held the bowls carefully, inhaling the steam, smiling through exhaustion. The smoke drifted into the late afternoon sun, curling lazily across the sky, spreading warmth throughout the little village. Children ran around, giggling as they ate. An old man, spoon in hand, said with teary eyes, "We may be poor, but as long as we have love, our hearts are rich, my child." Hoai looked around, her eyes shone with quiet happiness. The flood had destroyed much, but it had also brought people closer, rekindling the light of kindness amid the wreckage. As the sun sank behind the hills, golden light spread over the newly built roofs, shimmering like a promise. Hung stood under the eaves, watching the smiling faces and busy hands, and murmured, "Tomorrow, this place will be even more beautiful than before." Hoai nodded, her voice soft yet full of faith. "Because in every heart, there's still a flame, the flame of kindness, of hope, and of home." After tidying up their damaged home, Hoai and Hung, together with the village's youth team, began a new journey, a journey of compassion and love. A small truck, loaded with sacks of rice, boxes of clean water, warm clothes, and medicine, was parked in the courtyard of the communal house. Under the shade of an old tree still sprinkled with fallen leaves, everyone worked together, passing gifts hand to hand, calling out to one another with cheerful voices. Children's laughter echoed through the damp courtyard. "Sister, where are the cakes?" Here you go, sweetheart. Eat this to warm your belly. The children, their faces streaked with mud, clothes torn, and feet bare, beamed as they received small cakes, their eyes shining as if the sun itself lived inside them. Their innocent laughter was so pure it drowned out even the lingering cold wind after the storm. Hoai gently knelt down, wiped the mud from a little girl's cheek, and wrapped a warm coat over her shoulders. Her voice was soft, filled with tenderness. Put this on, it's cold. The sun will come out again soon. The girl nodded, clutching the coat as if holding on to spring itself. Across the yard, Hung handed out packets of medicine to the elderly and the sick. An old man with silver hair trembled as he grasped Hung's hand, tears welling in his eyes. If not for you young ones, we wouldn't still be standing here. Thank you, officer. Hung held the frail hand tightly, his eyes solemn yet gentle, filled with empathy and resolve. As long as we're still alive, we still have everything, sir. We'll rebuild, and live even better. Those simple words quieted everyone around them for a moment. Standing nearby, Hoai looked at him and smiled softly. Amid the ruins and weary faces, a glimmer of hope still shone, a belief that after all the loss, they still had each other. She turned slightly, speaking as if to the whole village. That's right. After every storm, there's always a rainbow. I believe that. The wind blew gently, carrying the earthy scent left behind by the rain. In the distance, a few faint rays of sunlight pierced through the thick clouds, shining down on the small village, where people were starting over from the simplest acts of kindness. A mother sat on her doorstep, holding her child and a newly received bag of rice, her eyes glowing with relief. The men and young people continued repairing roofs, while the women gathered clothes and shared bottles of water. Mother Ha appeared, carrying a basket of oranges from her garden, one of the few things the flood had spared. Her voice trembled but was warm and full of care. If anyone's tired, have an orange to quench your thirst. It's not much, but it's given with love. Everyone smiled, peeling the small oranges, their sweet fragrance spreading through the air, the scent of home, the scent of kindness still burning bright amid the wreckage. As the day drew to a close, the gray clouds slowly dispersed, revealing a clear blue sky. A faint rainbow arched across the hills in the distance. Hoai looked up and whispered, almost to herself. See, I told you. There's always a rainbow after the storm. Hung followed her gaze, a gentle smile forming on his lips. In his dust-streaked eyes, the reflection of the rainbow shimmered, a pure streak of light, like a promise from the heavens, that all suffering will pass, as long as the warmth of humanity endures. Night fell, and the sky was clearer than it had been in days. After so many storms, only the soft chorus of crickets and the whisper of wind through the rows of beetle trees at the gate remained. The small village gathered together beneath the warm glow of oil lamps. On an old wooden table in the middle of the yard, a few small lanterns flickered, their light dancing gently with the breeze, illuminating every face with a quiet radiance. A young man from the village picked up an old guitar, his fingers brushing lightly over the strings. A calm, tender melody rose into the night air. The sound of the guitar mingled with laughter, with spoons clinking against bowls of soup, blending into a simple, heartfelt symphony, the song of life, of resilience, of human warmth after the storm. Near the kitchen fire, Mother Ha sat warming her hands, telling old stories, of floods long ago, of harsh years when people still held on to one another. Her voice was slow and low, but full of strength. Back then, the floods were even worse. Some lost everything, but they rebuilt, because love kept them going. As long as we still care for one another, we still have a home. Hoai sat nearby, the lamplight casting soft shadows on her gentle, tired face. In her hands, she carefully mended the torn shoulder of Hung's shirt, the one he had worn while rescuing people during the storm. Each stitch, small and patient, carried her quiet affection, tender and sincere. Beside her, Hung leaned against a wooden pillar, his face pale, coughing lightly after days spent in the rain. Hearing him cough, Hoai looked up, her eyes full of worry, her voice warm and soft. "Please rest, I'll take care of the rest." Hung turned to her with a faint smile, his eyes glowing with gratitude and love. "I'm fine. Just seeing you smile gives me strength." His words made her heart tremble. She smiled shyly, lowering her head to hide the glimmer in her eyes. Outside, the wind brushed past the porch, stirring the curtain and carrying with it the scent of smoke and fresh rice. No one said another word. Only the gentle strumming of the guitar, the crackling of the fire, and the whisper of the night filled the air, lulling everyone into peace. Little Tony ran over, climbing into Mother Ha's lap, yawning. "Grandma, will there be sunshine tomorrow?" Mother Ha stroked his hair, smiling softly. "Of course, my dear. After the rain, the sun always returns. Our village will be green again." The night breeze drifted through, blending the smell of wood smoke with the rich scent of earth after the storm, comforting and familiar. The lamplight glowed on faces both weary and content. They had lost much, but they still had each other, and that was enough. Outside, a few faint stars sparkled across the sky. It was a peaceful night after all the turmoil, and in that quiet moment, no one said it aloud, but everyone understood. True peace isn't when the storm ends, it's when hearts still stay together. The next morning, the sky was a brilliant shade of blue, the kind of clear, endless blue that only appears after days of storm and sorrow. The heavy gray clouds that had once blanketed the heavens were now gone, leaving behind a vast, peaceful expanse where even the rustle of leaves in the breeze could be heard. The first rays of sunlight streamed down onto the roofs still scented with new timber, glimmering like they had been brushed with gold. Hoai opened the newly repaired wooden door. The creak of its hinges sounded familiar and comforting. The morning breeze swept in, cool and gentle, carrying the warmth of the earth, the faint scent of dried straw, and the freshness of wild grass along the rice fields. She stepped out to the porch, her eyes sparkling in the soft light of dawn. Before her stretched the boundless countryside. The young rice, though battered by the storm, stood tall again, lush and vibrant, as if untouched by the wind's cruelty. Along the narrow path leading to the fields, wildflowers were blooming. Tiny purple blossoms peeked through the cracked mud and pebbles, delicate yet proud. They stood as proof that even on land scarred by destruction, life could take root again, and faith could blossom anew. Hoai bent down, gently touched one of the flowers, and smiled, a soft, weary smile, but one filled with quiet peace. She whispered, her voice blending with the wind. "The storm has passed, leaving scars, but also strength and kindness. We believe that as long as we stand together, any storm will fade away." In the pale morning sunlight, children's voices suddenly echoed from afar, laughter, playful shouts weaving through the rows of beetle palms. The sounds mingled with the crowing of roosters, the barking of dogs, and the rhythmic pounding of rice from the neighbor's mortar. Life had awakened from its long slumber. Men swept their yards, women stoked fires to cook breakfast, children played in the mud, smearing it on each other's faces as they laughed. Gone was the silence of fear, replaced by the music of joy, by the living heartbeat of a village reborn. The river beyond the fields no longer raged. Its waters had cleared, flowing gently between the freshly mended banks. On the surface, small clusters of water hyacinths drifted lazily, reflecting the sunlight in shimmering gold, as if singing a song of return. The bamboo groves swayed in the breeze, their leaves whispering softly, a quiet "thank you" from the earth to the sky. From inside the house, Hung stepped out, sawdust still clinging to his hands. He inhaled deeply, taking in the scent of renewal, and said quietly, "After the storm, the land heals, and so do our hearts." Hoai turned to him, her eyes glowing in the sunlight. "Yes," she said gently. "From the ruins, we'll plant new seeds, of hope, of love, and of a brighter tomorrow." They both fell silent, listening to the wind brushing past the new roof, carrying the scent of young rice and wood smoke. Inside, Mother Hoai was carrying 2 buckets of water from the well, her voice cheerful. "The sun's out. Don't forget to hang the laundry to dry." She set the buckets down, wiped her forehead, and looked at the 2 of them with pride, as if they were her own children. The 3 sat together on the porch, sharing a simple meal, cold rice and leftover braised fish from the night before. It was plain, yet delicious, because it was their first meal under the new sun. Every smile, every glance, carried warmth like the morning light. Far away, at the foot of the hill, a faint rainbow appeared. Its colors were soft and pale, but heartbreakingly beautiful. It wasn't just nature's beauty, it was a symbol of faith, a promise that after every hardship, something good always awaits. The whole village seemed to notice it. Children squealed in delight, adults pointed and smiled. The sounds, laughter, voices calling, footsteps on the sunlit path, all came together like a melody of rebirth, a song of hope rising from the heart of the countryside. Hoai and Hung continue their journey, rebuilding their home, helping their neighbors, and sowing seeds of hope in the countryside reborn after the floods. They believe that as long as there is compassion and courage, no storm, no matter how fierce, can extinguish the light within the human heart. If you, too, can feel the strength and love shining through Hoai and Hung's story, leave a comment or a prayer below this video. A few words of encouragement, a bit of warmth, like a small candle adding to the glow of hope. And don't forget to join us in the next episode, where Hoai and Hung will continue their mission to rebuild the village school and bring smiles back to the children of their little town. Because, after every storm, there isn't just sunshine. There are hearts that continue to shine brightly amid life's trials.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình đang tiếp tục làm video, và mình đang làm video về câu chuyện của mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoài Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Thì như mọi người cũng đã biết thì ở khu vực ngoài Bắc của Lý Hoài Ca thì hiện tại đang bị mưa lũ ảnh hưởng rất là kinh khủng, và điều đó khiến cho không những Hoài Ca mà những người khác nữa cũng chịu ảnh hưởng rất nhiều. Thì Hoài Ca và Hùng thì đã may mắn là bị thiệt hại ít, cũng như được những người khác giúp đỡ. Thì sau đó thì Hùng và Hoài Ca đã dùng chính sức lực của mình để đi giúp đỡ lại những người xung quanh và làm từ thiện cũng như làm những việc tốt. Vậy thì liệu điều gì sẽ xảy ra với Hùng và Hoài Ca trong những ngày tiếp theo sau mưa bão, và liệu mọi người sẽ có được an toàn hay không, thì mời mọi người đón xem ở video sau nhé. Tạm biệt mọi người.